There's a lot of speculation, though, around the fate of Osiris right now. And we've touched on some of these lore pieces already people are pointing to. Osiris is acting really weird this season. He is seemingly okay with a coup in the tower. He's seemingly backing Lakshmi and Emperor Hideo or Executor Hideo, excuse me, from New Monarchy. Jalal from Dead Orbit is kind of staying out of this, but he's gonna wait and side with whoever the winner is and be like, "Ha! I always had your back. See, I was always with you. I was on the winning team the whole time."
Yeah.
It's pretty clear Osiris supports this. Saladin tried to go talk with Zavala, and of course Osiris talked him out of it. And I keep coming back to the lore piece that we got, the lore dump from Bungie just before Beyond Light came out, where it was just paragraphs of lore about Osiris going to the places of these anomalies where the planets were and where they disappeared. He goes back to the Dreadnought. He encounters the pyramid ships at one point. Like, there's been a lot of Osiris storytelling going on since Saint 14's return, really.
Yeah.
He leaves shortly after that. We see him confront Rasputin. Rasputin tells him where to find the pyramids at. And he goes out there, and him and Anna both go out there. And they both have completely different reactions. Osiris, it's noted when he comes back in the ship, Sagira says he seems different.
Yeah.
And that's something that's really sat in the back of my mind ever since then, especially with the death of Sagira.
Right.
We don't really know anything that happens to Osiris between Sagira's death, other than, like, she explodes in a burst of light, and Osiris is able to wield, like, all of the Warlock supers at once.
Yeah.
Between that and us finding him almost getting killed by the High Celibant when, or not the High Celibant, but by a Hive Knight when Crow saves him. And then he just ups and goes back to the tower. So we don't really know what's going on there. We don't know what happens in that time frame. And we're going to enter some pretty heavy speculation and spoiler territory here. The personal belief I have is that I think there's 2 or 3 different routes you can go with this information. One is that is Osiris, and he has been corrupted somehow, which I think is probably the most logical explanation.
Right.
The second to me is that Osiris is being kept in, like, a trunk somewhere. He's just, like, tied up and thrown into a trunk.
Like Harry Potter situation.
Yeah, dude, he's fucking Mad Eye Moody right now. And, Savathun is using Polyjuice Potion over here to walk around in the city. But whoever it is, it's pretty clear, like, and I mean, that's the perfect way to explain away Sagira. Like, oh, Sagira got killed.
Yeah.
And we've been lied to before by Savathun in the lore.
Yeah.
Remember the Truth to Power book that we got through in the Dreaming City? That was all Savathun talking to us, pretending she was Eris.
Yeah.
It's been, in the Dark Future that we get from Anna Bray, we get that lore book from her. Eris is Savathun in that one.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so who really is it this time? Like, who is she? She could be any of us. She could be walking among us. Which leads us to today's lore entry. We're going to read this, then we're going to circle back to Savathun being in the city. And this one's called Ripe. It's entry number 7 out of 10. Number 7 is called Ripe. Beneath the Endless Night. I walk through the city on broken legs. I am conspicuous, but the people here grant me many affordances. I chose this form well. I sway and catch myself on a low stone wall. I am ready earlier than anticipated, but I must still learn the next step. I look up toward the false dusk I have hung, but it is not yet finished. I am afraid, but it is thrilling to engage in something new after all this time. Something unknown. I close my eyes tightly so they do not bulge. The feeling passes. I open my eyes and search the faces of the people around me for familiarity. I did not mean to. I twist inwardly with disgust. When they first reached for me, I reached back in acid mockery, and they opened themselves to me in stupid, naked innocence. I was giddy. My fingers raped their minds. I forced my will through them using only words and met no resistance. Their naivety was beyond description, and I feasted until my eyes welled with black tears. Now I reach as often as they do, and when they reach back, I am thankful. I speak with them. I seek their company, their companionship. This is not pity, for I know pity. What is this? I drop to both knees, clear my mouth, and vomit. The thin black fluid turns to vapor and disappears. I clench the gangling black mass that threatens to unspool recklessly from within this shell of flesh. My new arms are too thin, too weak. My new shell still bound with thick mucus. Not yet, I say. A moment of blackness, and then a man places his hands on me, on my shoulders, on my back. He asks if I am ill, and he sees my flat eyes, my teeth black with ripeness, and he prepares to scream. I let him keep his mind. I push breath up and through my ruined mouth and speak a simple lie. He stops, smiles, laughs, shakes his head. He points a finger at me in mocking admonishment before walking away. I swallow the fatty morsel of his ignorance, and it gives me the strength to stand once more, cover my face, and resume my walk. I feel this form splitting beneath its wrappings, held together weakly by wet strands of sinew, and from deep inside, stirred by that last scrap of deception, I hear the oily growl of the worm. Even here, basted in deception, both ample and rich, the worm cries ravenously. It has grown grotesque, skin-taut, overfed, and still it howls for more. It commands me to keep it alive. I look up beyond the flickering net of darkness and see what rests just beyond, waiting for me. And the worm roars. This is very clearly from Savathun's perspective.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely.
I mean, the only other person it could be is Xivu Arath, but I don't think it's Xivu Arath. I think it's pretty clearly Savathun.
Yeah.
Savathun is in the fucking city, and that should be terrifying to everybody, regardless of what form she is in right now. When I initially read this, I wondered, is Savathun in the form of a cat? Mm-hmm. Just the way that some of this is described, and I think that's still possible, but it's definitely Osiris. She's definitely an Osiris' shell. The question is she possessing his actual body, or is it a body that she's actually making? She mentions that the facade is cracking, mm-hmm. that the form is cracking beneath, but also mentions mucus. So it's not just a shell for her spirit. I do wonder if she's truly taken over Osiris's body, though, at this point.
Yeah.
And you have to wonder that, and you have to start wondering, okay, kind of what comes next, because it's pretty clear they don't want to reveal the Witch Queen until the final season of Beyond Light.
Right.
That they're going to go for the 1-2 punch like they did with Arrivals. But she's here, she's in the city. This is terrifying. This is no more hypothetical of her looking through Shax's Ahamkara skull. You know, this isn't the Traveler's Chosen dialogue anymore where she's just spying on Zavala. She is directly in meetings with Zavala right now. It is deliberately separating him from others. It's exhausting him. It's placing doubts in his mind about people in the tower and around him, while at the same time clearly fomenting insurrection amongst the future war cults and new monarchy. It's becoming increasingly clear. Lakshmi is seeing what Savathun wants her to see.
Yeah.
Savathun would love nothing more than to have the Elixni wiped out right now, because they're going to be a thorn, especially Mithrax mm-hmm. is going to be a thorn in her side.
Yeah.
The Crow, I mean, so this is the one thing that's like, I don't know if this is like the real Osiris or not that's just been possessed or is possessed occasionally. Because why else would you send the Crow to us unless you're planning on people finding out who Crow is and that blowing up in the Vanguard's face as well?
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
You've got the Spider who's pissed off now because of Crow's actions mm-hmm. and Osiris's actions, technically.
Yeah.
There's a lot to consider here, and you have to start really wondering.
You think there's going to be some sort of Elixni civil war type thing before, or
I think we've already had the civil war, frankly.
Okay.
I think the civil war was really Aramis versus Varix.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I guess we did already.
Varix kind of turning his back, but also, Mithrax. Mithrax was evacuating people during the events of Beyond Light. Like, to me, it's pretty clear they wanted him involved, but just couldn't figure out a way to do it mm-hmm. with a pandemic going on. So that was the quickest solution. Right. Which, to be fair, was still a decent solution. We got him name dropped a few times. Oh, Varix is recognizing him as Kell of Kells. Yeah. That's a huge step. Yeah. Varix was kind of the last major guy we needed to do that we've interacted with. Because mm-hmm. Varix was trying to get himself anointed as that for a while.
Yeah.
I'm trying to see if I can find any dialogue from my core. I'm on Ishtar Collective right now, Trying to see if I can find any of the lore for this week with her. I think I just found it. Yeah, this is another one that I want to specifically talk about. That's why I love going to Star Collective. You can see all the interactions you have with characters throughout the season. Akora's voice is grim as she explains that Kira's presence in the Vex network means that Savathun, the Witch Queen, is behind the Endless Night. When the time comes, I'll put a spear of light through the Witch Queen's heart myself, she tells you. For now, I'm turning over all hidden records and full archival access to Osiris, but no one else. Continue your Splicer training with Mithrax. Use it to root Savathun's minions out. We'll reassess the situation we have located the target. Fucking hell, guys. Come on. Like, you're trusting Osiris and only Osiris, even she's not safe. We do know from one of the weapons of this season, I don't remember the one off the top of my head, but there's a lot of binary in the description, and when you do it out, it's Savathun's song.
Yeah.
Savathun's song is being sung by the inhabitants of the city. I think we can take that as that's the lie she's been telling them. It's terrifying. As we know, Shax has sung the melody. Eris recognized it in Season of Arrivals as, oh no, that's Savathun's song. Get the Ahamkara skull away from that fool.
Yeah.
In her exact words. It's quite terrifying, in all honesty.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, this whole, like, I don't know, like, it would be kind of cool to see in, like, a cutscene or something, because, like, it would be almost like a horror movie almost, where, like, you're watching either, Shax or Osiris being possessed, and maybe you see some kids running through the city, like, singing the song, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's some
imagine that's coming with next season.
Mm-hmm. Man.
I want to bring up a few things that Mithrax says to us through the servitor as well. This is kind of how the quest starts off this week. He says, he feels a malevolent force pulling from the center of the Vex network. Same force he noticed when you first stepped into the network on Europa. He fears the Vex are being manipulated and that the Endless Night has a greater purpose than he thought. Darkness is coming for you, he warns. And then later on, he tells you, the force at the center of the network has a name, Kira. Mithrax pledges to use his abilities as a splicer to search through the Vex domain until he finds its lair. He tells you he imagines his light as a beacon, something to use to guide others through the darkness of the world. He believes you were given your light to use as a weapon, and Kira is the target. There's just so much, But even Osiris. So this is the curious one. And Mithrax and Osiris tell you Kira, the dreaming mind, is the dark force at the center of the Vex network. Osiris will confer with Ikora on the best course of action while Mithrax refines his strategy. And that is the only, that particular dialogue is the only thing that kind of puts a dent in this theory to me. Yeah. That Osiris is Savathun and he's not just being like wildly manipulated instead. That maybe Savathun is letting him see what he wants to see and relinquishing control occasionally, but then taking control again.
Or, like, guiding him instead of, like, taking over, But
I think that it's pretty clear she's taking over completely because, he's giving me access that I never thought possible. She's clearly taking over Osiris, and Osiris's body can't handle it.
Yeah.
That's the interpretation I'm taking. So, regardless, I think Osiris... maybe it's even the event that leads into the Witch Queen. Osiris sacrifices himself. Mm-hmm. I'm very curious to see. We only have a couple weeks of seasonal narrative left. I think we have 2 or 3 left. Mm-hmm. And I'm very curious to see how they end, because this has been absolutely bonkers so far. Like, in a good way. This has been great storytelling. They're continuing to crush it.
Yeah.
This narrative team has to get a lot of credit for this right now. These are developments, again, we would expect to see these in an expansion.
Yeah. These feel a lot like the stories that they're telling. I mean, like you said, they feel a lot like expansion stories. They don't feel like seasonal narrative stories. And I think, like you said at the top of the show, we need to give credit to this narrative team who've been telling these great stories, right? I would argue the last 2 seasons in particular maybe even the 3 seasons were better storytelling than the expansion itself.
Yeah, I mean, like, I really like Beyond Light, but I think, like, as far as, like, Chosen and Splicer have proven, I think that seasons can no longer be slept on in terms of storytelling.
Yeah.
Like, Beyond Light was great for what it did for the universe and moving it forward, and that's what an expansion should do, right? The expansion is the jumping off point for the seasonal story.
Right.
The seasonal story is what, connects them and what leads into it, but you can easily play the expansions and still know what's going on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You just have to do some reading, but I'll tell you right now, like, I don't think I could skip a season in Destiny anymore if I'm invested in this universe because it's just such good content. I'd have to be listening to Bife, or I'd have to be reading on Ishtar Collective to make sure I'm keeping up with it because it's just it's that good and it's that special.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's clear this story is about to go to the darkest place it's ever gone. Like, darker than Cade's death, darker than the attack on the last city. Like,
yeah.
We're
gonna lose some
people. It's gonna be bad.
We're gonna
lose. Yeah, they gotta start trimming this character roster up too, of these characters that have been around for too long.
Yeah.
We joke that Sagira got killed off because Marina Baccarin voiced her, but that's probably not too far off from the truth. And a lot of us, myself included, very upset that she was killed off screen. That, this is Osiris, the greatest warrior that ever lived. We should have seen it happen on screen. Now it's becoming a bit more clearer why that didn't happen. Because that's probably about the time the switcheroo happened. So Osiris may still be alive somewhere, but we don't know.
Yeah.
And we likely won't know until Q1 of 2022.
Yeah.
Or until the very, very end of the next season, whatever the season this fall is.
Yeah. I would say probably towards the end of next season leading into the Witch Queen, I bet it would be a good time to.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that would really set up the Witch Queen, right? Like, I feel like that would really set it up.
I gotta ask you, last thing before we get out of here, last kind of big question surrounding all this. We know a civil war is coming, and there is that thing on the roadmap that says the epilogue.
Yeah.
Do we think that the Civil War and maybe Kira happen around the same time, and that becomes the epilogue? Or that's the final mission of the season, and that's when we finally get the fallout.
Yeah.
We get an end of season event or something.
Yeah, I think the latter is what happens.
I think that would be really cool. I think that'd be really unique. We've seen that they want to create unique arenas for these encounters. Even if it's reusing assets from before.
Right.
The high celibate missions, we reuse some of the Ascendant challenges, and we reuse a lot of the Dreaming City. Yeah. For that. But that was large. Other than that, like the unique, plotting and everything else in there. They did a whole on Shrike for Challengers Proving.
Yeah.
For the final quest there with the Strike, and they, the battlegrounds, those are reused areas, but you used in a way that, hey, we can actually use these instead of just leaving them there, and we're not going to ever touch these areas.
Right. It was like the only
almost brand new sometimes.
It was like the only reason to go to the Cosmodrome was that battleground.
The Cosmodrome, I mean, I can tell you safely, I've never been to that part of Nessus.
Yeah.
That I remember.
Yeah.
But it felt natural.
Yeah.
When you did it. That's the thing. Like, so much so that I was like, oh, this is a cool new area. And then I found out in a random patrol like 3 weeks ago, it was not a new area, and I felt like an idiot. There was no tank there, though. That's still something, like, I think you have to keep that up in real time. Like, oh, there's a tank here now.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's things like that, and I think you have an opportunity for a really cool end-of-season event if you have, like, I don't know, do a match-made activity where, similar to, what was it? The Undying Mind in Season of the Undying, where you had to all go into the Vex network to kill him together.
Yeah. What
if everybody has to kill Kira? In different timelines or something to make sure she's eradicated. Or, I mean, I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know if they're going to pull a fast one on us. Like, what if you have to fight... God, what if this is the first time you have to fight a Guardian? If you have to fight Lakshmi?
Or maybe your dark self comes back.
Dude, there's so many... You're going to have to fight your dark self at some point.
Yeah.
I don't know if it'll be before Lightfall, but you're fighting it at some point.
Yeah.
That's just too important of a plot thread to just drop. And this is Destiny. We don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, remember when they dropped the stranger until they didn't? now she's like maybe like the biggest turning point of this whole entire franchise at this point.
yeah,
With
like
the time
so much
traveling stuff.
hinges on her. Yeah, we've had time. You don't just casually drop time travel. That means, oh, okay, we dropped it in the lore. Cool, we'll be doing time travel in like a year.
Yeah.
Like
What?
beyond just the little machine that Uncle Drifter made for us to go save a man with a mohawk.
Right.
Like, there's gonna be something.
It's gotta happen. Man, I still want to know how time travel is gonna work in this game besides the Vex stuff.
So time travel. I mean, with Elsie, it's pretty clear she's stuck in a loop because of the Traveler.
Yeah, I mean we've talked about it
like divinely, and I could see the Traveler throwing us and Crow into a loop.
Yeah.
At one point, or throwing us into the past to figure out what's going on in the future. Maybe all of Lightfall, or the expansion between this and Lightfall, or something, is us being chucked into the past versions of these planets or something, and we have to, I don't know, fight our way through time. Like
I still wonder if
time.
Lightfall, like that title, we lose or something, and like that's when the time travel stuff comes back, where we have to go back and like try to reset the timeline or something.
It's entirely. I mean, there's literally endless possibilities, and they've said that between Witch Queen, the unnamed expansion, and we don't know if the unnamed one or if Lightfall is coming first. We assume Lightfall is the last one now, though, because they said they needed one more expansion to fully tell the story. So I assume Lightfall is the working title for the final one.
Oh, really? I would have thought Lightfall.
That's how I interpreted and assumed it when they made that announcement.
Yeah.
But who knows? I mean, like there are so many possibilities here, and if you have not listened to this and you have not tapped into the story yet, I urge you to do as much reading as you can. Watch some Bife videos. Go to Ishtar Collective. You can even look up by season and get seasonal lore. That's made it so much easier for me rather than reading every weapon or ship in game.
Mm-hmm.
It's just God, being able to go back and reference dialogue that's said to you by characters. I'm usually in a party with people that are talking over it, so I don't catch everything even with subtitles. And like, I'll play a mission on Tuesday. We record on Thursdays. I'm going to forget stuff between Tuesday and Thursday.
You shouldn't forget, Josh.
I shouldn't. I feel like I need to sit through with a notepad now when I play Destiny. But it's a good problem to have. Like this was kind of the season that a lot of people were like, all right, this is going to make or break the narrative team, because we know that teams are alternating seasons. So this is the team that if you go back in time, they did Season of the Hunt, they did Season of the Worthy, and they did Undying.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a great track record, okay, for either in-game stuff or for narrative. That's not really a great. And I mean, I don't know if they have specific narrative people for each season or if it's a whole team, but that's not a great track record, because the lore and the events in those seasons were really lacking up until Hunt.
Mm-hmm.
Hunt had really good lore.
Mm-hmm.
Worthy had good pre-lore with Shaxx and with the Warlords and the Iron Lords and all that. But this was kind of the make or break, because it's like, all right, the other team's crushing it. They did Dawn, well, they went Opulence, Dawn, Arrivals, and Chosen.
Mm-hmm.
And they're doing the lead into the Witch Queen.
Yeah.
They're crushing it right now. What are you guys doing?
Yeah.
And their response was, well, fuck you guys. You're trash about us? Fine. You're fighting Kira now. You're not fighting her in a raid. Raid team, go figure something else out. We're going to drop her and Savathun into the city 6 months early.
Gosh, what if the last event was a made event in the city to take out
Kira?
Kira.
Dude. Oh my god. If that happens.
And then, once you kill Kira, she retreats into the Ascendant Realm, and then that's when she becomes the raid boss, one of the raid bosses in the Witch Queen.
I mean, even if we fight Kira, I will almost guarantee she's not going to die, because this is Bungie. Okay,
that's what I'm saying.
But then again, they're trying to be less predictable, though. So I don't know. I feel like Osiris Meat Puppet is pretty expected.
Yeah. Well, she won't die. She'll just retreat into the Ascendant Realm like Oryx did in Taken King.
It's true. It's true. I'm very intrigued to see where this ultimately goes.
Yeah.
Just a few more weeks, about 5 or 6 more weeks, and we should start having our first details on Witch Queen coming our way, though.
I know. I'm so excited.
So, or not. God, I'm out of my mind. We got about 2 months.
Yeah.
We got about 8 weeks.
It's been a long week, Josh. It's okay.
It's been a very long week. But the seasonal narrative should be wrapping up here just before solstice begins, or just as solstice begins.
Yeah.
There's only two more weeks left. We're at like 6 out of 8 right now, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And there's that epilogue that I've got circled on my seasonal calendars, and I'm like, oh god, this is terrifying. It's never good when Bungie posts a group shot looking out over an area. It usually means something bad's about to happen. Does the helm finally take off? Is the wall around the city just a mini halo?
Does the helm take off and it leaves us behind?
Dude, I know, right? I'm gonna be like, seriously? I have the cool ships, and you're gonna make me wait. Like, just let me look out in the hangar and see all my ships. Not all those purple ones y'all gave me from year one either.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see all my legendary ships that I've acquired. My Christmas ships.
Can we get a Sparrow garage too?
Dude, I need a Sparrow garage. I need to see Amanda working on like 2 or 3 Sparrows of my choice. Like, I need the Santa slice sitting out all year.
I need my tiny Sparrow sitting out there, and then
I need my mini Sparrow. I need like my like volleyball shaped not volleyball. My inflatable ghost.
Mm-hmm.
Inflatable ball. My one in the inner tube. I need those like just hanging out in like a little ghost kiddie pool.
Mm-hmm. I need
like a shelf with all my shells.
I need my ghost that's wearing a ghost costume shell.
Mm-hmm. I need weapon racks in there. I need like trophies for my kills. Like, I need to go steal Tanix's head from the stranger's little peace pipe hut and go put it up in my room. I want that above my bed.
Yeah.
I want that. I want like Oryx's pinky toe. Somebody better fly to Saturn and go get me his toe from when he's floating around in orbit.
Is his body still hanging out there?
No, I'm pretty sure it got sucked in by Saturn's orbit.
Yeah.
And burned up, which would be hilarious. He was a big, chunky boy.
Yeah, he was chunky.